Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
A car is not a luxury, but a means of transportation. In megacities, this means of transportation sometimes turns into a big problem. Try to park the car successfully so that you don't have to take the subway or something like that. The usual well-known rental does not really solve this problem. Long-term rental does not have any visible differences with your own car. And then a fairly new invention comes on the scene, car sharing, which is designed to solve the problems associated with the car in the city and at the same time to preserve its advantages. What is car sharing? In simple words, about a simple concept. In fact, despite the fact that in our country the concept of car sharing has come to our ears relatively recently, it is not a new phenomenon. It is not new at all. Back in the last century, in the late 40s in Europe, several housing cooperatives purchased several cars in order to rent them out for short periods of time to their tenants. The meaning of the word car sharing was exactly that, renting out a car for a short period of time. However, this scheme was not widespread. Undeveloped at that time, car tracking technologies gave a wide space for deception. Cars could be easily stolen, crashed, and abandoned, and it was very difficult to find the culprit. In the 90s, a breakthrough occurs. Computer bases develop worldwide. Tracking systems become reliable and affordable. There comes a paradise for short-term car rentals. In addition, there are a lot of cars on the roads, respectively traffic jams, and a shortage of parking spaces. These are good times for car sharing, and they are still going strong today. Now you can't find either the end or the edge. When was car sharing invented? And who was the author of the idea? Did the creator of the idea manage to make money on it? Or did the cream of the crop go to the followers? In fact, it doesn't matter anymore. Short-term rentals have made life easier and better, and what else is needed? Once again, a quick recap of what it's all about. So what is this service? The point is that you take a car for use in point A, which is close to your real physical position. You do not need to go somewhere far, and specially go where you need to go to point B, leave the car there, and quietly go about your business. Your lease is over. Sounds, of course, interesting and tempting. Let's look a little more closely at what happens in practice. Let's talk about the pros and cons. How does car sharing work in practice? You want to move quietly in the conditions of the city and are trying to decide for yourself what will be more economically advantageous for you. To buy your own car, to use the lease for a long period of time, or for a short period of time. Since this article is dedicated to the latter method, we will consider it in detail. What advantages do you get by taking advantage of one of the many car-sharing offers? These are the opportunity to save money. You spend only on the road, do not pay for parking, repairs, and other things that are constantly a sort of Damocles hanging over those who have a personal car or rented for a long time. You easily get your car anywhere, rather than agonizing with traveling to the point where you recently left it. You do not need to keep an eye on the car. The company takes care of that. You always get a clean and repaired car at your disposal, and the rest is not your problem. You save time by not wasting it looking for parking lots and detours. If you want to transfer to the metro, you simply leave your car at the nearest point and take the metro. Read also how the electronic insurance policy of MTPL is issued and how changes are made. Sounds and looks tempting, doesn't it? However, there are still enough pitfalls of car sharing. Here are some of them. You are limited in choosing the right car for you. Since they are scattered all over the city, each location can offer you a random and limited fleet of cars. In an unfamiliar city, you may go to an unreliable firm that will provide you with faulty, dirty cars or poor service. In many cities, this service is very poorly developed. There may be a monopoly and, as a consequence, disgusting service or none at all. The car must be left in the access of some point, i.e., the radius of your movements is limited. Companies impose a number of restrictions on a customer's identity, such as their age or driving record, which can unexpectedly become a barrier to using the services. Thus, anyone who is interested in car sharing is something that will allow him to spend resources, time and money, more profitably. Should make a good calculation of what is more profitable, his own car or rent specifically in his individual case. and only after weighing the pros and cons to make a final decision. The owner of a network of rental points, as no one else, knows that it is not such a problem-free business. Cars are regularly beaten, broken, fly into large fines. All of this will be built into the price of the service, even for a very decent user. By agreeing to borrow a car for a short period of time, you are also agreeing to pay someone else's fines or compensate for losses in an accident, even if implicitly, in absentia. When buying your own car, there will be no such question. You are responsible only for your mistakes and errors. What will be profitable for you? Buying your own car for rent or registering in a car-sharing service. To refuel your own personal car, or to get a car already refueled for use, but someone else's and more expensive? What is more profitable? What is safer? It is up to you to decide how to use. So, after long or not so long deliberation, you decide to use a car-sharing service. What scheme of actions do you need? Everything starts with a contract. It is absolutely necessary to conclude it with the chosen company. Carefully study the terms and conditions of a particular company. They are sometimes very different from each other, and a person who is used to the same rules, having changed the company, may suddenly get into a mess. After that, you will be given a special electronic card, which you will use when you receive the car and when you hand it over. Well, you have concluded the contract. Now you are in the system. You can find the nearest car from you with the help of various tracking services offered by the company. After that, the fun part begins. You come to the right place, where the car is waiting for you. It is already ready for use. Get in and go where you need to go. Only first you need to activate the car. This is where you will need the card you were given. Remember that the contract is not concluded instantly. Most likely, you will be checked through the databases of violators, hijackers, and other internal databases. The period you will have to wait varies from company to company, so you will have to find out individually. Perhaps it makes sense to submit documents for the conclusion of the contract in advance and arrive after the completion of the inspection. This is especially true when you are traveling on business, when you are working with a new company, if there is no branch of your main company there. The verification procedure can take from a few hours to a week. Read also, what is better, private car, cab, or car sharing? You should pre-book your car using the online application you get from the operator. This is to ensure that when you go to the parking spot, someone does not steal your car from under your nose and you are not left in an unpleasant situation. After that, you calmly drive to the place where you need to go, park, using a map or online application, deactivate the use of the car and go about your business. It would seem that everything is simple, but there are a number of nuances that it is good to know. These are, you should be careful about the requirements of using the car. For example, smoking may be prohibited in a particular car. So smokers should discuss the issue of cigarettes at the time of contracting and clarify the rules. When leaving your car in the parking lot, make sure it has enough gasoline. You are obliged to refuel your car if you have used more fuel than specified in the rules. It is not allowed to leave the car with an empty tank. The next customer will not be able to use it. For an abandoned car with low gasoline level, there is a fine, and for frequent recurrences, the contract may be terminated at all. When leaving your car in the parking lot, make sure that you have not crossed the coverage zone and are inside the area agreed in the contract. It is forbidden to drive far away and leave your car there. When you start driving, you will be given a few free minutes. Knowing this, you can reduce the cost of using the service even more. You do not need to pay for the service specially. The funds will be deducted in advance from the refilled balance. Penalties and fines will also be deducted there, so be very careful. It is also necessary to distinguish between an internal system of fines for a specific operator with whom you have a contract and an external, general system. For example, you will pay a fine for leaving your car without gasoline, or for having it towed away by a tow truck, or for a fine for a violation. Behind the wheel of the car, you are an ordinary driver who must bear full responsibility for his actions and deeds. Of course, the cars of adequate companies are insured and generally carefully guarded against surprises, but even this fact does not cancel the need to think with your head and be responsible for your own actions. Where can you leave the car? This point should be maximally stipulated in the agreement, which you have concluded. For example, in Moscow, you can leave your car inside the Moscow Ring Road, or somewhere near airports and train stations. In other large cities, the same scheme applies. You can leave your car inside the city or near other popular destinations. Always check the service area with the operator. If you drive far away, you will be fined heavily. Where does car sharing exist? Such rentals already exist in all major Russian cities. For some reason, many people think that only in Moscow and St. Petersburg, but this is not true. Gradually, it is spreading to the regions with smaller regional centers, and they are doing very well there. When traveling to any city in the Russian Federation, it makes sense to find out in advance whether the service of interest is available there and what its conditions are, and only then decide whether it is worth using the local service or not. Thus, car sharing can make your life easier if you follow the rules and if you understand the mechanism of its action well, and spoil your opinion about it. If you did not want to go into it and try to understand it on the spot, which option suits you better? It's up to you to decide. In conclusion, car sharing is revolutionizing the way we think about transportation, offering a practical solution that saves both time and money. With the growing number of users and vehicles available, this trend is not just a passing phase, but a sustainable alternative to traditional car ownership. By embracing car sharing, you can enjoy the flexibility of having access to a vehicle when you need it, without the burdens of maintenance and parking costs. As we move forward, it's clear that car sharing will play a significant role in shaping our urban landscapes and enhancing our daily lives. Consider making the switch and experience the benefits for yourself.